Hi everyone, today I'm going to be talking about erythrocytes, also known as red blood cells, which are the most common type of blood cell and are responsible for transporting nutrients and gases throughout the body, as we can see here. They are produced in the bone marrow, where they typically live for about 120 days. As mentioned, they're the most abundant of the three blood types found in blood, and they're produced at an average rate of about 2 million new cells per second. And this is because their primary function is to carry oxygen for cells undergoing cell respiration to make energy. So this is when they're the most active, and because this process is happening pretty much always, they need to be produced at an extremely fast rate because of that reason. Erythropoiesis is the process of producing red blood cells, and this is signaled by the release of a hormone known as erythropoietin, or EPO. This is released by the kidneys, as we can see here, and this is released in response to various conditions, including decreased blood flow to the kidneys, low atmospheric blood oxygen levels, as well as low blood pressure, also known as hypotension. When released, they migrate to the red bone marrow, as we can see here, and they bind to the receptors on the red bone marrow to stimulate the maturation of red blood cells. Yeah. In the last stages of development, the immature red blood cells absorb iron, vitamin B12, and folic acid, and these are dietary nutrients that are necessary for proper synthesis of hemoglobin, which is what the iron's used for, as well as normal red blood cell development, which is what vitamin B12 and folic acid are used for. Deficiencies of any of these nutrients may cause anemia, which is a condition where there isn't enough fully functioning red blood cells to carry oxygen in the bloodstream. Stem cells, which are cells that have not been differentiated into other cell types yet, are converted to reticulocytes, which have a nucleus. And when upon maturation, this nucleus is ejected from the cell, and a mature red blood cell without a nucleus is formed. Once mature, they circulate in the blood for about 100 to 120 days, performing their normal function of molecular transport. And at the end of the lifespan, they degrade and are removed from circulation. Apoptosis is the aging and death of mature red blood cells. As our red blood cell ages, it undergoes changes in its plasma membrane, as we can see right here. And this makes it more susceptible to selective recognition by macrophages, which causes subsequent phagocytosis in the reticuloendothelial system, which is the spleen, liver, and bone marrow. And this process removes old and defective cells and continuously purges the blood. Apoptosis usually occurs at the same rate as erythropoiesis, which is the process of maturing red blood cells. This keeps the total circulating red blood cell count in a state of equilibrium. However, many diseases that involve damage to red blood cells, such as hemolytic anemia, sepsis, malaria, or normal cellular processes that cause cellular damage, such as oxidative stress, this may increase the rate of apoptosis, which disrupts that equilibrium. Conversely, erythropoietin and nitric oxide will inhibit erythropoiesis. If you have a low red blood cell count, you are therefore have a disease called anemia, and the symptoms of this disease include fatigue, weakness, shortness of breath, pale skin, tachycardia, dizziness, and lightheadedness. And if you have a high red blood cell count, you have polycythemia, which the symptoms include an increased rate of thrombosis, increased blood viscosity, enlarged spleen and hypertension. As for measurement techniques for red blood cells, micropipette aspiration is extensively used to measure the mechanical properties of red blood cell membranes. In this technique, you use a micropipette that's glass, having an inner diameter of 1 to 3 micrometers, and you apply negative pressure on to the red blood cells. And when this is applied, red blood cell membrane is aspirated into the micropipette, and the amount of aspiration depends on the viscoelastic properties of the cell membrane. So you can get detailed measurements with this technique and get properties of the red blood cell. And there's also various other techniques, but micropipette aspiration is the most commonly used measurement technique for determining the properties of red blood cells. All right, that's all I have. I hope that was helpful for everyone.